Hey, I'm Josh from Vacuums R Us and Sewing 2 in Colorado, and today we have a CleanMax, an ultralight commercial vacuum cleaner here that my tech notes have it diagnosed that it needs a left-hand fan cover replaced. I'm a little pessimistic as to if that's the actual issue and if it's been adequately diagnosed, but we're going to get into it. So this video is going to be relevant to you if you have a more modern Riccar, Simplicity, or CleanMax ultralight upright vacuum cleaner. So you'll know that that is you if your bag is in your high filtration bag is in a soft case, and that high filtration bag has this green clip on it. So any of the machines that have this green clip on their bag, they're going to be Riccar, Simplicity, CleanMax. I think Eris actually. So Eris, the previous Electrolux, actually buys their ultralight vacuums from Riccar/Taconi as well. So that will be relevant to you as well. And I think it's possible that PowerFlight may actually have a version of this, as well as I believe Sanitaire has a Sanitaire has a cordless version of this, and this is not relevant to that. It has a different fan housing. So a lot of machines this is going to be relevant to. First thing we're going to do is we're going to plug it in real quick. I'm going to listen to it, see what's going on. Again, I'm a little pessimistic about a fan housing diagnostic. Unit sounds good, and I actually can see there is a crack on the left-hand fan housing right there. So that's how they diagnosed it. The crack is actually visible. So we're going to go ahead and get into that. This is going to be good because you can also, we're going to get into the fan itself. So I don't know if we've done a fan replacement video before, but this is going to be relevant to people who have broken fans as well. I'm going to get a little bit closer here so you can get an up close of what we got going on. First thing I'm going to do, my benches are at waist height. For this reason, we're able to get the machines flipped like this and work on them like this. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull out, there's 2 screws in here. I'm going to change over to Phillips head real quick. When you're using a electric screw gun, always use, when you're putting screws back in, always adjust to your lowest clutch setting so that you don't break the fragile plastic that is on vacuum cleaner housings. So 2 screws is all we got to take out there. I'm going to take out the base plate too because I am going to be removing the brush roller as well. I'll pop that out, pop the brush roll. This is very interesting. There's a little piece of, I don't know what, inside here. Little metal, something or other. Very interesting. It doesn't look like anything that came from this vacuum cleaner, so I'm going to hope that that was just some kind of random debris that got put in the machine. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip the machine back over again. We've taken out the 2 screws right here. We're going to flip the machine over. I work on the machines from this direction. I'm going to go ahead and move my light out of the way first of all. I'm going to recline the machine all the way back, and now this hood should pop right off. There are tabs on the front of the hood right here. There's tabs that go in right here. So when we're taking the hoods off, we pull them up this direction. And so now and you can see there's way too much play on this thing, which is that broken fan housing messing around with us at this point. So I'm going to pop out some screws. So I'm going to take out the intake right here. If you need any parts for this machine, we have the full schematic for all of these machines, the R10, the R10P, the S10P, the CleanMax, all that stuff. We have those schematics on our website, and you'll see a breakdown of all of these different components here, all the different fan housing related parts. So I've taken out the intake duct right here. I've taken out the 3 screws that are holding that in. Next, I'm going to take out the 2 motor screws that are back here. And that's going to cause this whole thing to just pop up just like that. And now this will come out no problem. So I've got this retainer ring. There's a gasket right there. And then there's this retainer ring thing on there, which probably is going to need a screwdriver to help it out a little bit. There we go. So I pop that off. And so now we have the left-hand housing right here. And we can see, I can see anyway, there's a crack right there, and a bad one. So we got 4 screws to take this out. 1. There's that, and then that housing is going to pop right off for me. All right, my fan looks in good shape. I have no cracks. Crack fans are very common on these, particularly in commercial use. When somebody's using the machine who may be in a hurry or maybe just flat out doesn't care, they'll pick up drywall screws, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. If you're doing a fan replacement, this is a reverse thread, if I remember correctly, this bolt. It comes out and then the fan will kind of wiggle its way out. Use isopropyl alcohol, spray it on there to kind of to clean up the, to dissolve the sticky debris that keeps the fan on. You pop the fan out, put it back on again, nothing to it. All right, so here's the hack. I always like to include some value add. Here's the hack on this machine. I use silicone when I'm sealing these back up again because we get leaks all over the place in here. There's no gaskets on all these parts that I just took off. So I'm using isopropyl alcohol, which dries rapidly, to clean this off so that I can use silicone when I'm putting it back together again. I'm also going to clean this off right here. I'm going to clean off the edges because that's where I'm putting the silicone. If you've watched any of my videos, you know I love isopropyl. I use it for lots of stuff. I like it because it dries rapidly, doesn't leave a residue, typically doesn't damage electronics if you get it all over the place. It dries so fast it'll be it'll be dry by the time you have the machine back together again. So I said all this about silicone, and now I'm looking at my silicone tube, and it looks like I have barely any, if any at all. So this will be interesting. So the fan housing it has a groove right here all the way around, and that groove fits right on there. I'm going to put a little bit. It doesn't take much silicone. I'm going to put a little bit of silicone all the way around there. Right. So it's funny, actually, when we got to tour the factory a year ago or something like that, people on the line had been expressing their concerns about debris leaking into the motor chamber here. And it was funny that people actually putting these things together were, and that's one of the nice things about U.S. manufacture is that there's just so many. I've got no problem with products that are made overseas, but sometimes when it's made here, there's certain barriers that don't exist, and one of those is a communication barrier. You're able to communicate more rapidly with people who speak, your native tongue as a first language, for one thing, but they're also literally physically right there, right? So there's not as many barriers to rapidly improving quality or addressing issues. So it was kind of cool there to talk to them about their concerns about debris seepage, and they actually, it sounded to me like they were kind of in favor of the idea of using some type of sealant to handle these issues with potential leakage. But that's what I do when I put them back together. If I'm doing a fan or whatever, I use silicone to seal everything back up again. And I've been back inside the machines many times later on, again, particularly my commercial customers, and I've seen the effects of having that silicone sealant. So I'm also going to seal around the intake. I'm going to put, I am almost out of silicone. I have just enough. Again, it does not take much because it clamps down really tight. And that's the thing. I think that's kind of why they're not using any types of sealants, because it does clamp down pretty tight. I'll put that back on, and then we'll put that back in there. So I've got a total of 5 screws. I've got 2 motor mount screws, and then I've got the 3 intake screws. I'll raise my clutch a little bit right there. I'm putting it back together. Make sure you put your motor wires through this channel again. They will pop out, and if you put it back together without putting that through the channel, you can pinch your motor wires. So it's got you there. And lower that clutch again. I have a little bit of a split I have right there. It'll be okay, but I don't love it. Okay, and because it's commercial, we're not really doing any cleanup. We're not doing service. Commercial is, get it going for the least cost possible for as long as possible. So we really don't, you see my other videos, on residential machines. We're doing spit polishes to make them look pretty and all kinds of stuff like that. Our commercial customers don't want that. They want utilitarian. They want it to work well, and work as long as possible. So we don't waste our time making their vacuum cleaners look pretty, and we don't charge them for that wasted time. We try to get them the best value possible. Dealing with commercial products is a lot different than residential. The commercial people tend to know more about their product. I'm going to clean the brush though, because that's something that does actually impact performance, and it also only takes a couple of minutes here. But commercial people tend to know their machines a lot better. They tend to have only 1 or 2 designs of machine. A lot of the basic repairs they're able to do on their own on the field. A lot of the repairs that we do on the bench out front, on the check-in bench, and our commercial customers will kind of watch us, and we'll show them how to do some of the basic maintenance and repair tasks. And a lot of our commercial customers just won't, because we do a lot of that stuff right there. And so we have a couple commercial customers that every day, at the end of the day, at 6 o'clock, they bring in all of the machines from their crew that failed throughout the day, and they need belts, and they need unclogs, and they need stuff like that. And so they just make it a habit. We're their last stop of the day, and they bring the machines in, and it's 15 or 20 minutes maybe. And they get everything back up and going and back on the road. So yeah, dealing with commercial people, very, very different than residential. And we'll put this brush back in there. Always hand turn your brush after reinstalling to make sure that your belts are set well. Pop this back on again. We will seal this up right here. And normally the last thing is I'm going to do a test real quick. I'm not on this one because I'm going to let that silicone seal for a few minutes. Oh, 2 screws. All right, and I'm going to set this aside for a couple hours to let my silicone set up. Then I'll run my final test, make sure everything's okay. But we should be good to go. I'm going to go do my documentation on it.